Hey guys, happy Valentine's Day, or actually, maybe belated happy birthday. Wow, happy Valentine's Day. Um, yeah, I'm a procrastinator. Well, anyways, this is little Cinnamon Roll Mama here to present you the 10 art style challenge, part 1, Chance edition. Yay! So here in this video, I will be doing two parts. Not two parts, but basically for this challenge, I'll be doing two parts. This is part 1, as you can tell. And in this part 1, I will be doing 5 different styles, which is my style included, in the 5. So, where to start? This actually took a while because my hand wasn't cooperating very well when I was outlining, and, you know, it's just not fun. But, as you can tell right now with Shiro, his lines are coming out very wonderful, and he's coming out very, very, very handsome. I must be a Shiro stan. But anyways, this is about style talking now. So, as you can tell, this is actually my style, something that you rarely ever see, actually, because I mostly try to draw in Voltron style, or any other franchise that I might be currently in. It's because, for one, I love the style itself, and I am so used to imitating art styles from franchise. And like it's kind of funny because I end up kind of somewhat letting my style also cooperate with any fandom style. Like a good example is Voltron, because um, I do that whole little lines on the nose, the blushing cheeks, or show that that it doesn't look dead, and kind of the way I do clothing. So yeah, I guess I will also be talking again in the coloring part, because this actually is part 1, which is outlining only, and then on the second part of the video, on this video, there will be coloring. So I will be talking a little bit more once it changes to a different art style. And yeah, so I guess I can just put a little bit in there. As you can oh, there we go, there goes Lance. You can tell that my lines were not wanting to work with me. So basically, when I don't even know where to start with this, because I'm afraid that once I start talking and giving you my life, I guess my whole drawing life story is gonna go straight into another art style. But yeah, actually, this art style actually took a while for me to get used to, or even uh, not get used to, but actually create it, because over the years, I have always imitate art styles, such as one of my idols was Rumiko Takahashi, and forgive me, I'm gonna say this one real slow. Um, uh, Akihisa Ikeda, um, which are manga artists that I actually ended up growing up with. Not growing up with, but reading since I was little, since the age of 12, when I actually got the start of getting into the anime style. So as you can tell here, we're going into Inuyasha art style. Though I couldn't technically say it is Inuyasha art style, due to I actually had to get references to other animes such that are also created by Rumiko Takahashi, which since in Inuyasha there's not a lot of modern day clothing in the mix, since it's mostly taken place in feudal Japan. So I had to go into her other works that were adaptations into anime shows, such as Yurusei Yatsura, Drama Half, Meisani Koku, and many more. I think her recent one is Rini. Like I said before, Rumiko was actually one of my idols while growing up, even though I mostly not imitated, but imitate the anime show art style, because believe it or not, guys, her art style is much more different compared to the anime. Her characters are a bit more fuller, and you can actually tell in the actual anime, not anime, but manga Inuyasha, Kikyo and Kagome do actually look alike. But despite me getting into that, oh god, there we go. I'm getting, as you can tell, right there. This is when I actually started having a really big problem with outlining. As you can tell, it took a while actually drawing this part, of actually just Shiro in general. And then it also transferred to Lance, because for some reason my hand just wasn't cooperating. It just decided to have its own mind, have its own field day. Oh god, look at those eyebrows. Oh gosh. But yeah, as I was growing up, I think I was around 12 years old when I actually started getting into anime and into the Inuyasha franchise, which I actually started out drawing Inuyasha first. And I guess I just got so used to it that it was my comfort zone. I love the way she drew kimono, or at least in the anime adaptation. I just love how the kimonos were designed. And then I think later on I actually ended up going into the mangas where I actually got to see how she drew traditionally. And again, I love her art style traditionally because like the even though anime is not, how do I say this, is not fully humanly proportionate, Rumiko is actually able to somewhat get those humanized proportions by making her characters thick and don't have really big eyes. Like, I know that she does have some big eyes, but like it's not uh how do I say this? It's not like a lot like you see in other animes. I will not name so I won't get any hate. But I actually just mostly went for her body style, how she drew the girls and how she drew the boys. And again, like she just drew more of a fuller type character, fuller type characters. And even in the adaptation versions, such as Inuyasha, Ranma half, Yorosai Yatsura, and Mason Ikoku. I mean, I think Yorosai Yatsura and Mason Ikoku, I think they actually got her style more adapted more into the show than the other ones, where they actually kind of gave her a distinct style for animation, which I think it actually ended up somewhat colliding with her recent work too. So here we go. This is Gargoyles. I I know it came out in 1999, and I know at that time I was probably not even old enough to understand the concept of monsters or gargoyles. But I think when I was maybe younger, I remember when on JetX, and I think I was, I think I was maybe 8 or so. I don't remember much, but I know it was before 12. And I always admired the style because it was kind of close to Marvel style, but or like the old timey Marvel, but not really. It had its own elements, and I fell in love with it. It's just, I think this was probably one of the reasons why I got into monsters. Not fully, because fully the one I got into monsters, then it was, I will explain once it gets to that video. Once it gets to that part. But gargoyles, like, I don't know. I love the story of it, where these gargoyles have been cursed for 1,000 years ago. Forgive me, I might be wrong about that. But it's been a while. I actually need to rewatch it. But I love the way they actually, how the characters were created, and I love the art style. I love the way it was also drawn out, like, because in most cartoons, at least American-wise, I think Gargoyles was in a few were actually shaded, shell shaded. Not a lot are shaded, because nowadays it's only shaded when it's a very important part of the story, other than that it's actually just flat color with very beautiful backgrounds that are shaded and whatnot. But yeah, I guess I don't know what else to say about this, but I just know that I actually really liked the art style and then the story. Fun fact: I actually had to use David Xanatos as and I think Goliath too as a reference to draw Shiro. While Lance, I think I use Puck, the trickster, which I think you can kind of see that in his face. But yeah, this is actually kind of fun and it was kind of easy to imitate. I don't know if it's probably because I grew up with it or so, but I know I never ever tried to imitate this art style. I don't know why I never did, but I just never did. I guess like back then when my little tiny brain was like, no, you can't do this. You can hardly draw anything else, so why don't you just watch it and just enjoy it? If not, I would have probably been doing fan art since I was little. But yeah, this was actually really fun to do, and again, I just love the way the animation was for the story and the cartoon itself. Even though it's actually pretty dark. Man. Oh well. So, this is actually Adventure Time art style, which, surprisingly, I thought I was gonna have trouble, but it was actually pretty easy. I was really surprised about that, so this actually might really go real fast. I know, Adventure Time is a mainstream, art style. That's probably why I actually chose to draw it. But I know, it's not completely like Adventure Time, because I know I can't really, I couldn't really find a lot of, I guess, buff men or remembered any buff characters for Shiro's, how do I say this, to draw for Shiro. And it was easy to do Lance because he's kind of lanky already. And I just love Lance, and he was easy to draw in this style. Actually, he's not easy to draw, but he actually fits for most of these art styles, which I thought that was kind of funny. Or not funny, but interesting. But I know Adventure Time is very simplistic and even though simplistic, it's somehow very, not artistic, but it has its own element to where, like, it's very noticeable and it's really common to see. And I think I did watch Adventure Time at one point. Before I actually just ended up stop watching it, but I remember watching Adventure Time before. I liked it, but I don't think I ever stayed with it. I think that was probably due to something I didn't like, one of the shows, which I think they tapped into something that I didn't think was appropriate for kids. But again, I do not dislike it. It's just I wasn't comfortable with it no more. But I still like the art style, and again, I mostly did this because I did watch it. I did never imitate it, but I remember watching it, and I know this is actually a mainstream, so I wanted at least one cartoon show from American cartoon show to be noticed in here, because I know mostly some of them are anime styles. I think there's just only two right now that are American styled, which is Gargoyles and Adventure Time. Now, here comes the fun part. Um, Now this is Rosario Vampire. Not the anime, guys. Not the anime. This is actually, literally, this is the art style of, um, uh, let me get his name again. His name was, oh gosh, I feel so bad. His name is Akihisa Ikeda. Now, I fell in love with his art style when I was maybe, 13 going on 14 when his edition of Rosario Vampire came into play on, I think, not play, but preview on Shonen Jump Weekly. And I just fell in love with his art style, and I don't know, for some reason I felt very close to his art style, because back then I didn't really know how to draw very well, and the way I imitated his style, it was actually much easier to imitate his art style more than anything when I was younger. But what I love about Akeda is that throughout his manga series, if you look at it or look it up, he doesn't have a very consistent style. It felt like he was mostly trying different styles until he was able to set one specific style in season 1 of Rosario Vampire. I think that was maybe book I think that was book I want to say 6 or 7, and he ended up getting this certain style which was kind of close to realism but not really, but it had so much detail compared to a shonen jump, not shonen jump, but a shonen manga that I've seen before. And I guess this is probably why I like his art style so much, is that I got to see different styles of him, which he tried to do his normal. I think it was his normal style, but I think he was also trying to appeal. But I guess I'll talk about that in the coloring phase. But this is the coloring phase, and it's right back to my style, as you can tell. And believe it or not, guys, my art style. It actually, I am not very consistent with coloring, and I take a long time on it. Like, I know it's like, for other artists, it's like, okay, it's your style, you're able to color and everything, like nothing. Like nothing. And like, you're able to get like nothing. It's like fast, it's because your hand's used to it and whatnot. Now, for me, on this other hand, I'm able to fill in correctly like nothing. But when it comes to shading and highlighting and all the little details in it, I actually take forever on it. Like, I will not lie, I think the coloring phase for me here is actually 30 minutes to an hour. And yeah, so I guess I could tell you a little bit how I got to this thing, how I got to this part of my art style, which was probably because I think I was very influenced by my mother and my father when they drew on their free time. My mother drew a lot of still life or realism, while my dad drew a lot of cartooning and fan art of superheroes. And I think, like I said, I think by the age of 12, I really had grasped the anime, because for me, anime was like a mixture of still life slash realism and cartooning. Though, don't quote me on that because I know I'm not correct, but this is how I see anime. And that's why I probably will never see it in a bad light unless it's really, really, really cringy. Cringy, cringy style. But I think once I had entered college, or not college, but in university to major in animation, I think that's when I actually started to try different art styles. I had a teacher. He wasn't my favorite, and I probably was not his favorite, because due to me just drawing anime and all that, he told me to actually draw from real life and morph it into cartoon style, which it did not look right. It was not a pretty stage of my life. So, but I couldn't go back. But after I was able to after I had came home for the winter break, I wasn't able to draw anymore because it wasn't fun the way he taught me how. Because it was kind of like realistic animation, not animation, but anime. And I actually had stopped for a while, and I think until I was 19 years old when I got into the TMNT 2012 series, and when I went back to imitating an art style. And I think from there, I actually went to develop my own style, and try to be comfortable with it. And I actually was really happy with my art style at the time. Or actually now, because it may not be consistent, but I love it because I don't feel pressure to get it right. Which I actually talked over into the Inuyasha coloring style. Now, Inuyasha, like I said, Rumiko Takahashi's animation adaptations are very different from her mangas. And as you can tell, I had different. I'd used the different art coloring styles from there, and it was actually kind of hard to get the not opacity, but the shading correctly because I'm not used to doing that zigzaggy type thing for hair. I yeah, I'm not used to it, and as you can tell, I don't know if I'll ever go to it, but I will go. Like I think it was like when it zooms out, you'll see Inuyasha, Meisani Koku, and Rama half. Like I said, I got mostly the modern day clothing, not modern day, but at least the clothing style from Meisani Koku and Ranma Half, since that was more of a modernish type clothing, even though it was dated back in the 90s and all that. That's probably why Lance has almost a 90s or 80s, 80s, late 80s, close to 90s look because again, I don't think any of her recent adaptations, or at least when I was learning how to draw by imitating her art style or the animation style, there wasn't a lot of modern, like I said, modern day clothing. So, oh, this is, oh, I'm almost running out of things to say about this because I feel like I talked a lot in the line art part. If you are still here listening to me talk, I I I commend you that you're still here listening to me talk. As you can tell so far in this whole video for almost 30 minutes, I love to talk. But I really do commend you that if you're still here listening to me and watching this video, I'm just at awe really, because like I guess I don't really think that a lot of people watch all my videos, but I'm really like happy that you are. And for you watching this really long video, I will grant you one headshot drawing of whatever character you desire with the full package deal for free. And you can just comment below if you get here and continue to watch it. I will draw a headshot of whatever character you desire in my style with the shading and the highlighting and everything. You just comment your character below and I will draw it and I will make a speed art of it. Because I know this is a very long video and I know that you have better things to do with your life because, I'm boring sometimes. But yes, again, as you can see here, I'll try to get back to the style talking. But as you can tell here, again, it's American style cartooning. Though, like I said before, it is probably one of the most rarest ones that have shading in its actual animation form, because I think that's just in the 90s, late 90s and 80s cartoons where they would show, but I think Disney was probably one of the very first ones to not show shading in it, and actually continued to pass over to nowadays where it's not characters are not shaded. Like for example, Adventure Time here, like that's a good way into that it's not shaded unless it's a very serious scene. It's mostly with detailed backgrounds and whatnot, and sometimes the detailed backgrounds are not always there with the shading, but sometimes it does happen. And I think that's probably one of the most things I love about the American cartooning, because you don't have to be worrying about the shading. And this is actually very, very easy for Adventure Time wise. Now, okay, now as you can see here, I wish I could have zoomed in on Sune from Rosario Vampire franchise. He has different styles of Sune, from all the way ranging from book 1 from season 1 all the way to book 10 of season 1, and then had a consistent style in season 2 where it had most detail. Like, it was so beautiful. It was actually really hard to replicate when coloring it, because he has like a paint style which I don't know, I have never explored that field before, or at least a lot, enough to make it look really nice and whatnot, or overly done. And like, yeah, like I just love his, I love I can't say his name, I feel bad. Akihisa Ikeda. I love his art style, and actually he has so many art styles before, because I actually read it up on his other on his other on his other mangas, which I didn't even know about it when I was looking him up for a bit to figure out what else did he do, and if he had any other other series going on. But he had so many different styles. But I think he was trying to get a feel for what the audience might like, and I think he just kind of stopped and he just did his style, and I commend him on that, because like, it looks so well detailed, and it looks like it's in his comfort zone. And yeah, I mean, I think mostly after Rumiko Takahashi's Inuyasha and all that, I actually ended up copying more of his style, especially when I started making my own mangas. Not mangas, but comics of my own characters that was widely ripped off of this one. But I I mean, I just love the way the way he colors his characters, and oh my gosh, his art style. I mean, his art book, not art book, but like, when in each comic, in each manga that I've owned in season 2, there's always a little mini poster, and I just love the way they look, because they are so detailed and just beautiful. And actually, I think uh, Akihisa Ikeda is actually the reason why I got into get into monsters and vampires and all that. I mean, I was already into vampires, but I got more into the other monsters because of him. I got to learn a little bit more of the other the Japanese culture monsters, as well as other monsters that some are not very known in media and whatnot. But his style was actually, I'm sorry, his style's not completely, how do I say, it's completely spot on, and just like the other art styles are not completely spot on, but this one I feel really bad, because since I mostly kind of learned to draw from him in detail, or by at least copying, not copying, but imitating his art style, I wasn't able to get his style, because, like, again, I don't have that much, how do I say this, experience in that type of field of painting or coloring in that way, which I promise to try to do that. Because it's kind of hard to get out of my comfort zone when I do. But I also wanted to say before this whole video ends, because I think it's starting to get towards the end, is that I do have upcoming projects coming up. There's going to be a part 2 pretty soon. I want to save up until next week, because these do take a while to make, and to make sure for me, I am a little perfectionist, because I want to get everything right. But yeah, I have others. Part 2 of this will come out next week, and I will do another voiceover. And I also want, guys, I want you to comment below if you would like to see more of my art style. Because, I mean, I love Voltron's style, I love the other franchise styles, but I feel like I don't really get to do my style a lot, because I'm afraid that y'all won't like it. And I just, because I really hope, because I really want to, not please, but I really want you to like the content that I do, because like, y'all give me a lot of a lot of confidence in drawing, because it is something you like. I feel really happy about it. And but just let me know if you actually are okay with my art style, because I would like to draw my art style once in a while. And I think this is going to be the conclude of this video, so just comment below if you like it, and whatnot. And oh my gosh, that's gonna go by fast. But yes, those are individually by my art style, Inuyasha style, Gargoyles, and Venture Time, and Rosario Vampire. And thanks again.